All right, 12 Soul here. Hey, we're at the end. We're at the end of this Sturgess thing. It's Sunday, and I'm gonna just say there were so many people here. All right, and we're at the end of it. And I've found someone here that I really wanted to interview. Her name is Janeen Walker. She's sitting over here, and she's sitting in front of the bank. This bank right here that her grandfather actually. I'm pretty sure he founded. This was his bank. Okay, this is a person that's been in Sturgess, grew up in Sturgess. Talk to her about some stuff. Well, we got a lot of motorcycles here going on. So hey, Janeen, we're sitting in front of the bank that pretty special bank to you, isn't it?
It is. This is my grandfather's bank.
Okay.
His name was H.J. Walker, and he ran this bank from 1926 to 1969, and he gave Pappy Hoyle his loan to start his motorcycle shop. So this is where the history started. And then my father was a banker in Sturgess also.
So your grandfather allowed Pappy Hoyle, who is like the father of Sturgess, to start this whole thing.
Father of the motorcycle rally.
The motorcycle rally.
I don't think he had any intention that it would turn into this. It was really about motorcycle races.
Okay.
And it was about brotherhood of people that rode bikes. And anyway, yes.
So when was that? What year was that about? Do you remember? Just give me a kind of a rough estimate. I believe
that was probably about 1938, but don't quote me on that. Somewhere in there, 1938.
Wow. Oh, well, it's the 80th anniversary, so we just go back to what?
They skipped 2 years during World War II.
Oh, they did. So 1938.
I believe that's right.
Wow.
I should know those things, but
that was your grandfather.
That's my grandfather.
Grandfather.
His name was H.J. Walker, and then my father was a banker also at this bank. And he was best friends with Clarence Hoyle, and he was treasurer of Jack Pine Gypsies for 25 years. So I grew up at the racetrack taking gate and coming down to the bank and counting it, and then taking purses back up there.
So you're the money person, right? You're taking money back and forth.
Yeah, we did. We took gate, and then we went to the bank and counted it, and then we took purses back up there. And in 1969, we were giving away $5,000 for like first place racing and whatnot. So
that was a lot of money back then.
It was a lot of money, especially when you're 10 years old and you're like, wow, I'm going to be a motorcycle racer, right?
So Sturgess starts with just not a 10-day event. What was it? What did it first start?
Sturgess started with a weekend event.
Right.
They came on Friday, and Pappy and Pearl, that was his wife, they would host a picnic in the park, and the local JCs, like the Chamber of Commerce, would have a big barbecue, and they'd gather there, and then they'd go on a ride in the Southern Hills.
Okay.
And then they would have races up at the half-mile racetrack.
Wow.
And that's how it started, and then it really evolved into this huge event, in my opinion anyway, where downtown Sturgess opened up for vendors. I'd probably say in the late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
And when I moved back here from Colorado in 1984, I had a salon for 14 years.
Right.
And in that 14 years, I watched 14 major businesses go out: drugstores, candy stores, apparel stores, hardware stores. And unfortunately, they all sold out to people that just have them for vendors. And that's been a hard thing for a small rural ag community to lose their main street to the vendors. But
you got 6,700 people in this town?
On a good day.
On a good day.
More like 6,000.
6,000.
Yeah.
So this main street, even though it's vibrant, it's only vibrant for 10 days out of the year?
Well, it's better now. We have several businesses that are open year-round, like Black Hills Rally and Gold is locally owned. And it's a lovely store. They sell rally stuff, but they also sell gifts and whatnot.
Right.
Sturgess Photo and Gifts is open year-round, and Sturgess Leathers is open year-round. But yes, nobody's small-town America Main Street is thriving right now because of Amazon and mail order, and now with COVID.
Yeah, that's what this is all about. Right. So hey, what's your impression about 200,000 bikers? I mean, you guys are supposed to have more bikers, right?
Well, predictions for the 80th rally was maybe as high as 750,000.
Okay, so
but you have to remember that the rally isn't just Sturgess anymore. The rally is like a 150-mile radius. I tell people it's the largest trade show without walls in the world now. So you will see the rally like in a 150-mile radius outside of Sturgess. Vendors set up at gas stations at Wall and Wasta. So it's a huge draw. It's huge for our economy. huge for our economy.
Yeah.
I hate to admit that Sturgis is just dependent on the bike rally now for economic stimulus, but we are, but not just us. Actually, tourism is the second producing income in South Dakota behind agriculture, and this is a huge tourism event. I don't even want to tell you the quote of the millions of dollars they think the rally brings, but anyway, it's huge. Millions and millions of dollars in our economy. So.
Right.
Should we have had it this year?
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's my feeling on that.
Now you were sitting on the council when
No,
this,
I wasn't.
or you were. Tell me about they asked you for your opinion about whether or not to have this rally or not. Is that right?
Several people on the council asked my opinion. And
Right.
my feeling is that I was afraid that even if we didn't host the rally, that they're coming anyway. And so we put a lot of infrastructure into the rally with garbage pickup, cleaning the streets at night, traffic control, law enforcement. And if we didn't have those things in place, and we did get 250,000 visitors out of the blue,
Right.
it's not a very good place to be. I was here after the 50th rally, and we were not prepared for the 50th rally. It was not a good thing. I mean, it was good economically, but the town was dirty and icky, and it wasn't hosted well. Let's say that.
Okay.
Yeah. Sturgis has done a good job of hosting the rally. They clean the streets every night with enzymes, and they pick up garbage, and they've done that for a long time, not just because of COVID. They've done that for many, many years.
Well, one of the funny things is we have all these people walking around without a mask on.
Yeah.
And there's no, social distancing. I mean, and no one's fallen dead here. I haven't seen anybody drop dead in the streets from COVID. Have you?
Well, no, but people usually aren't falling dead in the streets from COVID anyway. They're going somewhere else to die. But let's just pray that all the sick people stayed home. And I'm an old-fashioned country girl, so I think when you're outside in the air and sunshine, that I think the masks are kind of irrelevant at that point. I think if you're in a mask and you want to at least have a little bit of barrier, yes, you should do that. And have we practiced social distancing in South Dakota? Yes, we have. We've done some precautionary stuff, and people in and of themselves can do that on their own accord. Did we enforce it? No.
Right.
Not to the degree that the world wishes we would, but I'm not so sure that the COVID is really what it's all about. I think it's more about global economy, and we will learn that in history, that this is a global economic takeover of some sort. I don't want to put too much gloom and doom into that, but...
Well, as far as I'm concerned, traveling across the United States, I've interviewed a lot of people, and I haven't found too many people that have said that they've known someone that has died from the COVID. But the fallout is that a lot of people have lost their jobs because of the COVID, and there's a lot of poverty because of the COVID. And people are, we're gonna let this bike go. It's kind of loud, but
I've known 7 people now that have recovered from COVID. I've known 3 people that have tested positive for COVID and showed no signs of it. And so I've almost died from influenza A. I've almost died from pneumonia. I don't take it lightly. It is a virus.
right.
Is it about the virus, or is it about fear? Is it about shutting down? Because I belong to a couple of different investment newsletters.
Right.
And 5 years ago, I read this long article about the pandemic that's coming in 2020 and how it's going to shut down global economy, and it's going to change how we learn, it's going to change how we live, it's going to change all these things. And at the end of it, you're supposed to buy gold and silver. And I'm thinking, well, that's crazy. If that's really happening, I'm going to plant a garden and go into survival mode, because that makes a lot more sense to me than having, gold and silver in my account or whatever.
Yeah,
And
right.
so when this started to unravel, I'm thinking to myself, and I think I saved that newsletter. I think it's one that I actually saved, because it bothered me, because I'm thinking, who can predict a pandemic? And so my feeling, this did not start in a meat market in China. This is a planned thing, and we are so connected to media, we're so connected to our television sets, and we really believe what we see on television. And that's a fallacy, because we are not fed facts. We are fed, you know what. And I think COVID is a big part of it. Yeah, and I'm not saying that COVID isn't real. And I think we should respect it, especially if you are immunocompromised.
Well, I'm just personally...
To shut down our world because of a virus?
Yeah.
More people died of H1N1 than they've died of COVID so far. Makes you much sicker. Are you from here?
I'm from North Dakota.
Okay.
Okay.
A ranch up there.
Your name, sir?
Scott Ambo.
Scott, tell me about your feeling about here. I'm 12 Soul. I'm a former Navy diver, former Navy SEAL. Been traveling across the nation today. Just talking to people, not today, but for the last like 4 or 5 months. Okay,
Yeah.
talking to people about the COVID. And you're from, again?
I'm from Squaw Gap, North Dakota.
Okay, so you're out there in North Dakota. So when this COVID thing hit, did it hit your community at all?
No, we didn't have any. I
Okay.
think we've had one case in our county.
Did the person, did he survive?
Oh yeah,
He did.
yeah.
What did your county do as far as to compensate with this whole thing?
You know, they just like everywhere else. You know, they sent the kids home from school to do virtual learning on the computer.
Right.
We were supposed to be masked and social distancing and all that.
Are you a rancher?
I'm a rancher, yeah.
Yeah. So if it's in the air, you should have gotten it.
Right.
It didn't
Right.
happen.
No, and I think I might have had something like it in January before it all come around.
Before it all come around. You're one of the many
Yeah.
people that I've spoke to about that particular
Yeah,
issue.
I had something I'd never had before, upper respiratory.
Uh-huh.
Lasted 8-10 days, something like that.
And you got over
Not
it.
any sicker than most flus I had.
You look pretty healthy. Are you over 60?
65.
You look great for 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You think that has anything to do with it? Like your immune system and stuff like that?
Well, I think that my personal feeling about this pandemic, I think it's very politicized.
Okay.
It's a tool
Right.
to bring us into a compliance society.
Uh-huh.
It's all about globalization. That's the way I see it. It's credit, compliance. They're going to crash the economy. I believe they're going to get away from paper currency, jingle change. It's all going to be digital. That way they can have total control.
And you think our government is also like behind it too, in a way, or an element of our government?
I believe that there's a networking going on, that people are involved in it in a loose fashion. There's certain people that know exactly what it's about.
Right.
Other people, I believe, understand somewhat what it's about, but they don't see how it's all adding up to the end game.
Right.
It's all going to have a political conclusion to it, but I don't think everybody can see clearly where it's going to end up.
What, do you have it in your head? Okay, because this, my channel is about it's about the voices of the voiceless. Okay, so. In your estimation, because we've got CNN, NBC, all these people telling us the way things are.
Right.
But then I've got, like hundreds of interviews on the ground across America. I ask people some really simple questions. So, when do you think this end game is going to happen? I mean, a year from now, 2, 3? You think we're doing a slow death thing? What's your opinion on this?
I believe that they're getting the game ready, and once they decide to make a final push on it, I think they're going to have to go rapidly.
Okay.
That's how I'm perceiving it.
All right.
I believe that it's a controlled demolition of our financial system. They're going to collapse it and do away with the global currencies. Once one stock market goes,
Yeah.
like Wall Street,
Yeah.
it'll have a domino effect of crash them all, and out of the ashes they'll bring on a totally digital
Okay.
monetary system.
Right on.
Complete control, every transaction control.
Well, I'm gonna get back with Janeen here for a minute and see what she thinks about this. You've been listening to that, Janeen.
Yes.
Your dad was a banker. We're sitting at the very bank that he did his stuff at. What's your idea about this whole thing as far as what this gentleman said here?
Well, I didn't hear all of it, but I think you're spot on. This is about global economic takeover, and
A lot less about the medical emergency and more
I think
like
the medical emergency is real as well.
right.
and
Well, so was
you know-
9/11. I mean, those
Right.
buildings did
I know.
fall.
Right.
That was real.
H1N1 was real. SARS was real.
I mean, okay, just just to kind of give everybody like a heads up, it's been 20 years, but 9/11, those buildings did fall, okay? But every world organization, every government did the Patriot Act or some version of the Patriot Act. All of the airports started putting in, all of these things for terrorism, right? And we never had anything come of it. I mean, seriously, there was no more hijackings. It was just basically, you're under lock and key, right? You guys can, so yeah, COVID was real, but is that the real reason that we're all on lockdown? There's no more airplanes flying. There's nothing like that. What do you think?
I don't think it's about COVID. I think it's about what this gentleman talked to you about too. I think it's about economic global takeover. They want a one world economy.
Right.
Whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know. Those are certain things you can't control, but it's scary. I think it's weird what's happening right now, huh?
Yeah, and if you watch a slowed down video of the Twin Towers coming down,
Right.
there is molten metal squirting out from those big beams.
They call them squibs.
Those towers were rigged with military grade explosives,
Right.
and brought down because they started at the top. That's how they do them. They bang, 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 bang like that down.
Yeah.
So they come straight down.
Right.
Those planes didn't take them down. The planes caused some damage. Everybody was watching the planes. The controlled demolition took place.
Well, hell, you know what? I like to give people this idea: the charcoal lighter and your grill, because that's what isn't that what planes are run on? They're run on kerosene. And when was the last time you guys melted your charcoal briquette? What do you call those things? The grill with kerosene. Doesn't happen.
No.
Doesn't happen. You don't drop these buildings that are supposed to be drop proof with
Right.
kerosene
Right.
and a black smoke fire,
Mhm.
which is a cool fire. So a problem, reaction, solution. So the problem was the buildings fell. The reaction was, oh my God, and the solution was the government came out with this very same bill that they had at Oklahoma City, bombing, which nobody would touch. At the time, it was called the Anti-Terrorist Act, but then now it's called the Patriot Act. That was 20 years ago. It's still in effect. Now, maybe this is Plan 2. Maybe this is, I don't know.
It is. They've got to do everything in stages to keep the people from getting organized and doing something about it. So they've got to do it. It's a 2-step forward, 1 back. 2-step forward, 1 back. They keep gaining ground, and they're training us to be submissive and to accept what comes, even though we know it's wrong. You stretch it out over a long period of time, and it's just the power of propaganda, the propaganda effect to it all.
Absolutely.
And there's they make it in such a way that it's hard to nail it down to where you can put your finger on it and say, this is definitely what they're doing. They take it so far, and then they back up, and everybody gets this. I guess it's not as bad as we thought, but they've made a tremendous gain in the global agenda.
Okay, so the next question is, Janeen, did you go to civics class when you were in school?
Yes.
Okay, so in civics class, didn't they have the idea of the way America is? We've got judicial, we've got legislative, we've got executive. So with these mandates that these governors are putting out, I mean, you think they're circumventing the process of this? I mean, there's no law saying you have to wear a mask. There's none of these laws.
Well, I will say I give credit to our Governor Kristi Noem for not enforcing masks and not enforcing absolute closure, but also encouraging people to do the safe social distancing and so on and so forth. But I'm glad that we're one of the few states that wasn't mandated. I mean, in some states you couldn't buy garden seeds. What's that about, right? Did North Dakota have a mandate? Did you guys have to wear masks?
In the spring, when they shut the schools down, everybody went home. The churches shut down. They asked to wear a mask and to social distance. And some businesses in our area, if you did not do both, they would just ask you to leave.
Right.
But by law, they knew, I believe, that they couldn't enforce it, but they could ask you to comply. and most people were courteous enough to comply because they didn't want to intrude on somebody else's space.
Yeah. Well, in South Dakota, we closed schools the middle of March, and they never resumed. We didn't have graduations. We had car graduations, drive-by graduations. Many businesses closed voluntarily. They didn't have to, but they did. They've reopened with social distancing, so at 25% capacity, which most businesses can't function at 25% capacity. A lot of businesses have done okay, takeout, carry-out, restaurant business. But there's certain businesses that won't survive this. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And I don't know, what's survival of the fittest in business anymore? Talking about Main Street Sturgess, like Gregory was asking me, well, what's it like when the rally's over? I'm like, well, a lot of these businesses close down because they're just rally businesses. However, we've encouraged people to be open year-round, and there's several people that have done that, taken the chance. So we have our tourism season is now more like 6 months long, which is good. We have the big Mustang rally coming in Labor Day weekend, and once again, I guess people that want to wear masks will, and people that don't won't. Will I wear one outside? No, I'm not going to wear one outside. I'm in the barber. I'm a barber stylist, so I've worn a mask at work, working on a client, just because I think that's a courtesy thing for them. Not all of them, but if they want me to, I do. So I'm being respectful of what we've been told is the cause of all this. But history will tell us this is not just about something called COVID. So those of us in the Midwest that are a little more courageous than the masses, because we've had to be. We've had to think for ourselves. We've had to be. But I'm grateful that I live here. I'm grateful that I'm not in an apartment building in New York City in lockdown, or the Philippines, or Venice, or where the places that have been on total lockdown. David's children live in the Philippines. I mean, they're in lockdown. And
So what does it say for America that they don't know civics enough to even know their own political civic process, right? I haven't really heard very much backlash from this, because none of this is really constitutional. It's just like, you will do it.
Yeah, they were able to get away with it because it was a virus, an unknown virus, and they started it in a foreign communist country where the information that come out of there could be completely controlled. And so being it was unknown, the fear factory, that's how you can control the masses, with fear of the unknown. So people bought into it because they didn't know what it was going to do, like a bubonic plague or something like that.
Right.
So they were able to get the thing rolling through the power of propaganda, through the media, and it was very effective.
I would have to say that. Your thoughts about that, Janeen?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
We're television minions. We believe the media. We believe everything we hear. But Walter Cronkite has been dead a long time. After the era of the factual news. That's my opinion. I might be naive in that as well. But
Okay, with that,
I don't think we're fed a lot of facts anymore.
Okay.
We have to seek those out on our own.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to think for themselves. This is going to be part of a documentary series, and that's the main thing. I mean, we're voiceless. I mean, we got, 5 or 6 media organizations that are running the world right now. What about our voices? That's my point. As a former Navy diver, former Navy SEAL, served my country for 7 years, it's been amazing to me, because it's really scary when you walk inside of these stores, okay? It only took 6 months to train these people. They just, unconsciously wear masks inside these stores, and just take a look. There they go, right there. I mean, seriously, it only takes 6 months to train monkey humans.
Years ago, in the slave market, they used to put leather masks on slaves. And the idea was to train them psychologically that they did not have a voice, that they were subhuman, and to keep their mouths shut and to take orders. That was the idea behind it. And that's exactly what they did. They did they did what they were told, and they didn't speak up. They were seen and not heard. And that's the psychological effect that it's having on society here. Along with the stimulus, the stimulus is just like prolonging, keeping the crash from coming down on us all together. It's coming in stages, So with the stimulus money, they're sticking the binky in the baby's mouth to keep him happy until everything is perfectly lined up for it to come down smoothly, just like the demolition of the building.
Wow, that's a good analogy.
Wow. And
analogy.
I totally,
Exactly
yeah,
right.
got it. So
Exactly
your
right.
thoughts, yeah?
Well, here's my fear too. My grandfather sold this bank in 1969, and then my father worked for about 5 different banking corporations and never left Sturgess. He was an egg banker. My dad was an egg banker. And when I moved back here in the 80s, when interest rates went to 20 and 21%, and I watched my father go through this serious depression because he's watching his friends, his clients go broke, because you can't operate a ranch at 20% interest unless you own everything and you haven't taken any risks at all. And so at some point in time, our Federal Reserve will be beyond broke again, and our children will see these exorbitant interest rates, and it's going to be a long-term economic impact on our economy for a long, long time, and we don't even see it yet. And all this money, all this huge money is going to huge gluttonous corporations. We little people, I have not gotten one, well, I've gotten the $1,200 check, but I've not gotten any other stimulus money because I'm self-employed and I don't qualify. So anyway, and I'm happy that people that did get laid off their jobs, people that worked in bars, restaurants, casinos, whatever, I'm happy that they got the stimulus check, unemployment. My son-in-law was between jobs and just started a new job. He waited almost 2 months to finally get unemployment in the state of South Dakota, but some people can't do that. Some people that, you can't eat. Some just can't eat, so just like this gentleman said, they're going to keep the stimulus long enough so the binky is really secure, because the real fallout is yet to come.
Okay, we're going to do a part 2 on this one. All right. So 12 sold out.